Hello, everyone, and welcome to our comprehensive guide on the adjustment of status process, a gateway to becoming a lawful permanent resident right from within the U.S. In this general overview video, I will demystify the status adjustment process for you. Feel free to grab a seat, take notes, listen attentively. Even if you are driving or walking, pay attention and let's embark on this together. Now, if you are filing as a beneficiary of an immigrant visa petition, such as Form I-130, Petition for Alien Relative, Form I-140, Immigrant Petition for Alien Workers, those in the employment-based immigrant visa category, or Form I-360, Petition for American widow or widower or special immigrants. You may file an adjustment application only after the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, USCIS, has approved your petition and an immigrant visa number is immediately available. Now, here is it. For the EB2 NIW category, even if you are currently approved, you cannot proceed to adjusting your status. That's because you have a priority date, which is yet to be earlier than the filing date. Remember, the filing date is always released on monthly basis by the USCIS. When your filing date aligns with your priority date, or simply put, your priority date is now earlier than the filing date that is released on monthly basis, then you can proceed to adjusting your status. For those in the EB1A category, as of today, January 2024, recording this video, your status is current. And that means that if you applied and you are approved, you can proceed to adjusting your status. So this video is based on the EB2 NIW or EB1A category. If you have not subscribed to Prof. Dan Tutorials, please kindly do so. Hit the like button and support the channel. And of course, you can also follow us on Instagram, which is available in the description section of this video. Adjustment of status in the US is an efficient process for individuals already in the country to apply for a green card, converting their status to a lawful permanent residence. This method is highly beneficial as it eliminates the need to return to your home country for visa processing. Now, in the immigrant visa application, there are two categories of applicants. The principal applicant, who is directly eligible for the visa, and the derivative applicant, typically a family member, like a spouse or a child of the principal applicant, the primary beneficiary. Now, you will recall that you as the primary beneficiary or the principal applicant, when you file for I-140 under the EB2 NIW or EB1A category, you only filed for yourself. While in the form, there were times where you impute details of your dependents or derivative, only their details. They didn't file for Form I-140. However, when you have been approved and you want to proceed with the adjustment of status, you and all your family members must file for this adjustment of status. So simply put this way, each family member, regardless of their category, must individually file Form I-485 for green card application, which is the adjustment of status. And families have the flexibility to submit these applications together or separately. Say, for example, you are the principal applicant and you are ready to file for your adjustment of status. You can do that single by yourself. If you have dependents, you can submit your application together as well. Please take note that the Form I-485 requires various supporting documents, which you need to add to your form itself. For the Form I-485, I'm going to provide a separate video on how to fill the form. And this is just a general overview. But again, for those of you who are looking forward to filing your adjustment of status, you can use this as a preparation to start gathering your document as well. Now, some of the supporting documents that must accompany your adjustment of status application includes 2 recent identical color passport style photographs of yourself, a copy of government-issued identity documents with a photograph. For example, it could be international passport, it could be your driver's license, your birth certificates, if you have one, if your country issue birth certificate, or perhaps an alternative proof of birth. Another important document is documentation of inspection and admission or parole into the U.S. by an immigration officer. This is more or less like a passport page with a stamp, or your non-immigrant visa, or even your Form I-94 for some of you that entered the U.S. Also, another important document is copy of the receipt or approval notice. This one is very important. Now, after filing your Form I-40, you will receive a receipt notice that tells that, yes, USCIS has received your petition. That receipt notice is Form I-797C, which means it's conditional. That only shows proof of receipt. If your case is now approved, USCIS will send you another receipt notice or approval notice, in this case, Form I-797. A copy of this form of approval must be added to your supporting document during your adjustment of status. Again, you need a marriage certificate for especially derivative applicants for your spouse. Another important document is proof of continuous lawful immigration status in the U.S. To show that ever since you've been in the U.S., regardless of the kind of non-immigrant visa, you have remained a lawful individual in the country. So in case you have defied your, stay status, there is no worries about that. Make sure you consult with immigration lawyer or professional consultant who can help you on the kind of process. Another important document is evidence of financial self-support as a permanent resident. You want to show maybe your assets or your bank statements to show that you have sufficient funds so that yourself or your dependents are not going to be like a public charge, depending on government programs or finance. A very vital document is medical examination and vaccination record. And this is Form I-693. I'm going to speak more on this in a subsequent video. This medical examination and vaccination record is very important, and you have to use a designated civil surgeon here in the US, if you are in the US. And this form has to be filled by the civil surgeon and must be sealed and packed with your evidence that you want to submit for your adjustment of status. Again, we'll speak more into that later on. If you are an individual who has maybe a criminal charge or who has previously been arrested or have a conviction, I'll try and include a certified police or court record to that effect. that won't stop your approval of the adjustment of status. Now, all these documents, please listen to them again and try to start preparing them, which is very important. For the medical examination, some would say, well, while you're adjusting your status, you don't need to submit the medical examination immediately. My own advice, and in my opinion, is that try to submit your medical examination and vaccine record, which is the Form I-693, alongside your adjustment of status application. It may save you of, RFE, request for evidence or things like that, or it might probably fast track your receiving of approval. Having said all that, let's go to the filing fee for Form I-485. As of now, January 2024, the Form I-485 is $1,140 for an individual applicant. And there is an additional $85 for biometric services for each applicant. That means if you are just one person that's applying, you're going to spend about $1,225 total for this adjustment of status. If you are the type that have a spouse, a wife, the total is going to be $2,450. That's for each of you, you have to pay $1,140 for the Form I-485, and for each of you, you have to pay $85 for the biometric service. Now, for an applicant, let's say the principal applicant, the spouse, and one child that is under 14 years old, for example, you should expect to pay about $3,200, and that will be the $2,450 for you and your spouse, plus an additional $750 for the child. And please take notes. Now, children under 14 are exempt from the biometric service fee, so you don't have to pay the $85 for your child that is under 14. And the filing together with a child saves you an additional $390, as the child's Form I-485 fee is reduced to $750 instead of $140. So what it means is that, recall we said that each applicant must file their Form I-485, and the initial base amount is $1,140. However, for your child that is under 14, and if you're filing at the same time when you, the principal applicant, is submitting your adjustment of status application, you pay less, $750. And finally, let's look at some bonus opportunity. Applicants can also file Form I-131, application for travel document, for free, alongside your adjustment of status. Also, Form I-765, which is application for employment authorization, at no extra cost, especially when you filed with or after your I-485, but it must be before its adjudication, before you receive your approval, or something like that. Then if you file this additional form, like Form I-131, in case you want to travel outside the US, or Form I-765, in case you want to get the opportunity to work while your case is still pending, its beneficiary. So this employment authorization document, EAD, permits legal work in the US, while the Form I-485 is being processed. And that's the I-765 employment authorization document. Now, this is also applicable for spouses on an F2 visa, for example. So if you are the principal applicant, and let's say you are on F1 visa, and you have your spouse with you who is on F2 visa, and you want to file for your adjustment of status, my suggestion is, since it is free, why not apply for the application for employment authorization as well, which is from I-765. And, you know, the process when you submit your application to the process when your application is approved to process your green card, you may want to work and you don't longer want to be under the restriction of maybe your F1 visa limiting you to 20 hours of work per week, or maybe your dependent on F2 visa who cannot work. And, you know, that period save you that. The EAD, which is the application for employment authorization. But take note that upon approval of your form I-485, applicants and their derivative are granted the lawful permanent resident status, receiving your green card. Now, at that point in time, the EAD, the employment authorization card that you obtain during the process, for those of you that request for it, it will become unnecessary once your, approval is granted, because literally your green card shows that you are a lawful permanent resident and you are not limited to working. Again, this is a general overview of the adjustment of status. Beyond this video, I will begin to go deep into, for example, how to fill the form 485. You want to make sure you don't make any mistake when you get to that stage. Also, additional insights into what are the other things or means of you doing this rightly in order to get approval. You want to make sure that everything goes easy for you and you get your adjustment of status done hassle-free without no issue. Once again, this is Prof. Dan. Thank you for supporting Prof. Dan tutorials. I wish you all the best, and feel free to check the description section for our social media handle or our website www.stdanielsglobal.com, where you can see some of the services that we offer. For those of you who have watched our do-it-yourself videos on Prof. Dan tutorials to file your petition, and you probably need a service for revealing what you've done, we have the package available. For those of you who also want to consult with us, all these packages are available on our website, and I will see you all again. All the best.